Well, I felt the same about Chenise as I felt after Vegas weekend and after Clearwater weekend. I think that we saw her make a huge adjustment in the ULL game, going just from, I think we saw her make a big adjustment from the Florida State to the Duke game, and then a bigger one from the Duke to ULL game. So I have that most confidence in Chenise. So I think the same of her every day. That's who Chenise is. But she really did just grind and just figured out how to be better. And I think that, like, when you hear Chenise talk about it, that's exactly who she is in her day-to-day process, is just like, okay, that was good for me. This is where I need to be better. And then she can make the adjustment. And I think she's just a really, really seasoned, mature competitor. And obviously has elite stuff. So it's a nice combo.
Dorian?
Coach, I think I speak for the entire broadcast team when we're weather watching, as I know you guys are as well. Are there any contingency plans? If the rain moves in, do you guys have any plans in place, or are we just trying to ride it out and hope for the best right now?
Well, we're riding it out and hoping for the best right now. The good thing is the worst day is the day we only have one game scheduled. And so I think that we're hopeful, at least, that we can find a block for that one game. And then, we'll continue to monitor it, how quickly weather changes around here. So hopefully we can get that one game in tomorrow. We're probably going to have to be flexible in the time, and then we might need to push things back on Friday, but we're still really optimistic, and we've played in worse.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Dudley?
Coach, you had a couple of great rallies there down the stretch last week. Just talk about the fortitude that the team's showing, even when they get down, not being out of it.
Yeah, I think that was a testament of, if we have an out, we have a chance. I don't think that as a whole this weekend we were firing on all cylinders, and so finding a way to win 5 of the 6 was huge. Being down to your last out in the Drake game when things clearly weren't going our way, and pulling through to tie it and give us more time to win it, I think was a lot of character. It was really clutch of Kylie to not only hit in that tying run, but the winning one a few innings later. So I like our fight. I would like us to make earlier adjustments, and just kind of realize that we need to do a way to fuel and feed the next one to be better. I do think we need to be better at that, but the way we fought, the way we figured out how to win 5 this weekend, I think was huge.
And talk a little bit about the opponents this weekend and what kind of challenges they bring in.
Well, it's a lot of games first and foremost. So it's 7 games over the course of between Thursday and Monday, and they're strong opponents. They're very strong opponents. So Iowa State is very, very tough. North Texas has had a really great run and played a tough schedule thus far. Corpus Christi has had a good year and been really close with the ones that they've dropped. And UCA always has a little extra behind it when we play them, obviously with that in-state matchup. So it'll be a good weekend. It'll be a good challenge. I know that we're going to have to fire a little bit more than we did this past weekend. And that's to be expected as we get ready and move forward to obviously the SEC home opener the next weekend.
And kind of assess your pitching staff a little bit, how they did last weekend, some highs, some learning experiences, I guess.
Yeah, I was really pleased with how they came out. Obviously, I think Chenise was exceptional. I was really, really excited to see Callie Turner continue to progress and continue to compete. I thought Robin Heron had some really great outings. She's continuing to learn and make adjustments just to this level. But I think she's had some big outings for us. And I think that Hannah Kamenzen and Nikki McGaffin will be better coming out of this weekend. So I'm still really pleased with where our staff is. I think ultimately what we ask of them is to give us a chance to win every time they go out there. And I think that they've done that. So, and I see that they're continuing to grind on the daily basis, and they'll continue to get better.
Appreciate it.
Mhm.
Justin.
Yeah, I've got one more about last weekend, and then I've got one about this coming weekend. Last week on presser, you said, playing teams 3 times versus playing 5 teams in a weekend. This is a different approach. And against Drake, you talk about even tough games. Arizona obviously were battles. What did you learn about your team and how they approached, the second and third games, those battles, those series? What did you learn about them this past weekend?
Well, I really liked that we figured out how to, win the series per se with Arizona. I think it has an SEC feel to it. I think it has a super regional feel to it. So just, kind of staying the course and finding a way to win 2 out of 3 when I don't necessarily feel like we were playing all that well. And I really liked how we got better each Drake game. I think that's the tough thing. I think it's unique in our sport, maybe with baseball, but when you go into even a 2 opponent weekend, you're still prepping for 10 plus pitchers. So when you go into a 3 opponent weekend or a 4 opponent weekend, you can obviously do the math of how many pitchers you're trying to prep for. So you're trying to get a good feel for that. Also just trying to fine tune what you do. So I like that we got better as we went this weekend. We did not start very well. I thought we made better adjustments as we went. I thought we had a little bit better focus and intensity in the moment as we went. And I'm hoping that we build off of this past weekend for this next one.
And then speaking of this next one, a similar vein, but now you go from preparing for 2 teams and however many pitchers to you're back to, like you talked about a minute ago, some solid teams, but 3-4 teams if you want to throw in UCA on Monday. I'm curious from your preparation side of things, is that it feels almost like whiplash. You go from a really tough bunch of teams in Clearwater to a tough couple of teams at home, and now a tough bunch of teams again. What's it like for your preparation process week to week?
Well, it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot, but it's the nature of softball. So it's no different than any other team is doing. So it's just kind of getting them familiar as much as you can. Obviously trying to focus on the field, but focus on Iowa State first and foremost. So taking it 1 game at a time, and then just making them familiar, but not, just knowing how much info they can handle. So just making sure that we're super familiar with it, that we can relay the info in efficient, concise ways. And more than anything, for them or for pitchers is just really focusing on what we do well and what pitches we want to hunt, how we're going to create outs and the whole thing, especially when you're preparing for that many opponents.
Dorian.
Coach, taking a look at your team batting average, and obviously it's still early in the season. If you stack it up against the rest of the SEC right now, it would be last, 279 across the board. 88 strikeouts is the most in terms of SEC teams. How do you, in your approaches at the plate, how do you cut down on that number of strikeouts? Is that maybe more dependent on the teams that you've played up to this point in the season? And then the one player I wanted to ask about specifically is Christina Foreman. Obviously, her batting average probably a little bit lower than you guys had hoped at this point in the season. But what have you been able to take away from her at bats? Because she's been close a couple of times, she just hasn't come away with hits.
Well, I guess I'll start first with the batting average question. I think that our batting averages are low, but if you looked last week, I haven't looked this week. I think we were second in scoring. But our batting average was lower. So I think that we're opportunistic. I think there's a lot to be said for that. So we're making the most of the chances that we have. And so then it's just focusing on creating more chances for us. The number that I'm more concerned about, I'm not concerned about the strikeouts as much. I think we need to do a better job of creating free passes. That's something that we've always done in the past, is just controlling our zone. And then being really aggressive when it shows up. I don't know that we've had that mindset consistently, which you can see sometimes in this sport. because I mean, it's a brutal sport for the mental game. And so I think that you're seeing, I thought we saw this past weekend, some of our players pressing. When you press, you tend to get outside yourself trying to create more. And I think that's what we're seeing out of Tina. Tina's one of the best hitters I've had the privilege of watching and one of the most complete hitters. So she'll get out of this. I think it's a slow start for her liking. I think we have a lot of trust in her and a lot of belief, and I think she has a lot of belief. So it's just figuring out how to get that next hit, kind of breaking that open a little bit. But I think that we need to do a better job of controlling our zone more than anything when I hear those numbers.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.